Hey, it's Thursday. It's Broker Talk. We're bringing you another fabulous show about real estate. Our objective here is to give you great information because we bring you great guests. I'm joined today by my able co host, Jim Lowenstern, the broker owner of Castles Unlimited. Welcome aboard again, Jim. Good to see you. And our special
Glad to be here,
guest,
Larry.
it's good to be anywhere these days. Our special guest has written a book about branding yourself, and we know how important that is. This is Lesley Everett. She's a world-renowned coach, speaker, and about building a brand. And her book is mostly about corporate, but we're going to talk for our audience today about the individual brand. Welcome aboard, Lesley.
Thank you very much, Larry. It's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
I had the opportunity to read your book, and the first question I really want you to share with our audience is: what are the three key components in your mind of what a brand truly is?
That's always a tough question because there's so many things that I think represent a core brand. But if I was to think about the three that are important to me, and over the years as I've been working on this topic and I've seen it play out, I think I come at it from a people part of the brand, as you know, and what makes us a good brand, which is absolutely core to doing business and getting referrals today. First thing really is authenticity. So it's no good trying to create a nice, colorful, sexy brand with great words that anyone can come up with if they're not authentic. And the reason being that people don't buy into that. People buy us. They want to know a little bit about us, what we stand for, our values. And if we're not authentic, people see through that, I think, even more today than ever. So it's three things. And what I'll do is I'll give you the three things there, and then perhaps I'll talk a little bit more about them so I can give your viewers some practical tips on how they can go about articulating that. The next one is really clarity in the brand. So how easy do you make it for people to talk about you, to refer you, to really sell you and market you? Because if we don't make our message clear, then we're really missing an opportunity there. So how clear are you and how articulate are you in expressing your brand and what you stand for and what differentiates you? And a third area is really consistency. So if we're not consistent, then we create confusing messages and people can't really follow what it is we do. And for any brand to be successful, whether that's a company brand, a product brand, or especially a personal brand, it has to be consistent. And that's what we need to strive for once we've got the foundations in place. So if I go back for a minute to the authenticity piece, how do we really find out what that is? And I often say to people, it's very difficult to see the label from inside the bottle. How do we know what it is that we really truly want to reflect about ourselves? And obviously with the programs that I run, I have a methodology that we work through, but the key things are really setting aside some time to say, what is it that I really am right now? Who is it that I really am? What really truly motivates me? What's my purpose? What are my drivers? What are the key skills that I have and my expertise that differentiate me, because they're me and they come from the experiences I've had in my life, the skills that I've got, the people I've mixed with, my background, my backstory. What makes me different, and what are the things that really help me to stand out from the crowd, so that I can be consistent with those. So I would suggest that you first off set aside time to really think about your true personality, your skills and talents, your values, your principles, and what it is that you do when you come against a new challenge, a new project, your natural style. The second piece with that is getting some feedback on that. And that's what I find a lot of my clients and realtors as well miss out on. Do we really get the true feedback from our clients that explains who we really are, that tells us, it gives us those gems about who we really are? So, great question to ask clients is, what is it you get from me when you work with me? how do you feel when you work with me? What's the end result of working with me? And you'll get some real gems that tell you a little bit about your authentic self. So
The
I don't know
bullseye.
if you've done that. Yeah.
The bullseye. I do think that so often agents will buy into the corporate franchise brand and not develop their own personal brand, and those are really two very different things. What do you have to say about that?
They are, and I think all too often I've seen it as well, Larry. As well, I have many real estate professional clients, and I find that often there's two things that they do. Either they just hang themselves under that umbrella of the brokerage brand, and they don't think about their individuality and what makes them different from another realtor under that same brand, and so they don't leverage off of that. But also that they're not thinking about what can I specifically reinforce about that brokerage brand in my own individual authentic way. So they're either underneath that brand and they see themselves as that, or they miss out on the personal pieces. So I think it's important to leverage off of the brokerage brand. There's some amazing brands out there as well, really getting in touch with what the value set and the ethos is of that brokerage brand, and then saying, how do I fit underneath that myself? What is it about me that really differentiates me and reinforces that at the same time? So bringing them together, a bit like the two jigsaw pieces of the puzzle that you can really integrate and say, I can put them together and make that even more powerful. People don't tend to maximize the opportunity there.
One of the things
Lesley,
that
do you have any? I'm sorry, Larry. Do you have any case studies with realtors? Anybody you've worked with, sort of molding their brand and sort of the process, the before and after?
See,
Uh,
I was going to talk about that, Leslie,
yeah.
as well. What I had been told many years ago about a brand is that it's difficult to understand your own brand, but if you talk to other people, like people who've worked with you, people who hired you, ask them all, give me three characteristics that represent me, and do that across the spectrum. 10 people, 12 people, and the things like, I thought I was one thing, and then when I followed through with that and asked people, they thought something else about me, and I realized,
So what
well,
did you think? So what did you think, and then what did they think? Curious.
well, but you know what my brand is. My brand is about caring, and I never thought that. I thought I was. I answer my phone. I'm consistent with what I do, but the number one thing that came out is how much I cared about them. And it's like, it's not me saying I'm a good date. It's not my mom saying I'm a good date. It's my date saying I'm a good date. And so that caring, and that's why I answer all of my emails with "it's all about you," because it is all about you. People don't people don't care about you. They care about themselves. And I don't mean that in a bad
I
way.
care about you, Larry.
I know you do. You've put up with me as well.
I really do care.
Yeah, you do. And I think that if you don't care about your clients, if it's just a transaction, people will not resonate with you. Much like you see on social media, how a real estate agent, all they post over and over again is a picture of a house being sold with the clients, and that posting is all about the agent. Hey, look at me, I closed another house. It's not anything about, I'm so happy for, Bill and George. That's here in Boston. Could be a Bill in Georgia, maybe somewhere else. It uh, See, you don't want me to talk too long. I put my foot in my mouth.
No. Yeah. So I asked Lesley a question. Lesley, do you even recall what the question was?
Yeah, a case study of
Sort of a
before and
case
after.
study.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
I mean, there's lots. So if I was to articulate one local real estate professionals that I've worked with here, a team of two, but growing now into three or four people. And they're very well known in the community, but there was no solidity to the message. People would always say, yeah, they're great people to work with and they're fun, but it was never any like golden thread that represented the professionalism that they also exhibited. So we worked together and pulled out the threads that were really important to their brand, that they really wanted to be known for, that they wanted people to say about them behind their back. I got some client input to that as well. I often do that with my clients. I'll speak to their clients to get that real how do you feel when you work with these people? What is it you get? And what we came up with a great tagline. You may have seen it. I won't share who they are, but you may well know. And it's providing an enjoyable and oh gosh, what is it? An enjoyable real estate experience. And it was very much about the fun side of things and making it enjoyable, making it about the person and what do you want to feel when you buy a home. And we pulled out some of everything that came up with a simple tagline, and then we had a much longer brand statement for them. So sometimes what I find with clients is they're confused. They have all the answers in their head, but they've got so much that's muddled. And what I can do is to extract that. It's almost like a vacuum cleaner, extracting all the good stuff out, putting it all on the table, and then making sense of it and being able to put it back in terms of articulating the expertise and the differentiator.
And but we several months ago had Michael Neese on our show, and he has a company called Interview Mastery, and there is a very small percentage, 2% of the people who do an interview get a job right off the first interview. And what he shared with us was kind of much like a brand. It's about caring, but we all have skills. We all have arrows in our quiver. And quite often agents come out and the first thing they do is I'm the top agent, we're the top agency, we've done more of this and we've done that. And that has nothing to do with the person who's about to hire you. The people
Right. It's
who
all about me, me, me.
Yeah, the people who get the job are the people that go in and ask. First of all, know something. You've got to be knowledgeable. We're taking that as a given. Not all of them are, but you take that as a given. You want to go in knowing your business and your house and the approximate value and all of that, but you don't know what they think. And they're the ones who are going to hire you. So you have to find out what's interesting to them. And that's the 2%. It's the ones who don't start talking about themselves until they know where the bullseye is. One of the
Absolutely. Ask the questions. Yeah. Yeah.
one of the questions that I ask people, or a state, it's more of a statement, is while I'm sitting there, I'm saying, imagine us sitting at the closing table, and you are just so happy because you got your price and you're headed on to your next thing. What's the one or two things that your agent did for you that made you so happy? And you wait for their answer, because they might say something like, you communicated with me every step of the way, or I was never surprised, you always let me know what was going to happen before it happened. Agents need to do more of that rather than talk about themselves or their agency, I think.
You're so right, and there's a couple of things to bounce off of that. The great Maya Angelou once said, "I've come to understand that people will forget what I said, forget what I did, but will never forget how I made them feel." And that's the piece that really is a thread that runs through a lot of the work that I do. Is how do you make them feel? They don't care about you and your experience. What they care about is what that gives them. So I always use an analogy: if you go into a hardware store and buy a drill, you're not buying the drill, you're not really interested in the drill, you're buying the hole in the wall, or you're buying the shelves to put the family photos on. You're buying the end result of the expertise, if you like, within that drill. So that's what people are buying. They want to know what it is that you give them as an end result, that after effect, and how they're going to feel about that. And that's a tough piece to get to, the after effect. And I can talk more about that, but that's the piece, the golden bullet, as it were. If you can get to that, then it makes you different.
Well, it's often said people will emotionally make a decision and then find reasons why they made that decision. And I think if you're not paying attention to that, if your brand isn't delivering what you say you are, there's a it's a little off-putting.
Yeah.
How is the brand as a real estate agent? How do you communicate that across Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest and all the other avenues we have to communicate with people? What are best practices in that regard?
Well, best practices, first of all, are to do what I said to start with before you think about any sort of social media strategy and getting your message out there, visibility in general, not just social media, is being absolutely crystal clear about that authentic core. And then think about what are some of the messages, the topic areas I can share on social media that really reinforce that area of that authenticity about me. So every time I share a post or write something, can it reference something about, in your case, Larry, about caring about people? It might be really emphasizing that I really care that these people are selling or buying their dream home or selling their home to the right person. I care about how they feel. Could there be a thread that you add every time you post? The second thing is, don't try and cover everything at all social media platforms. Pick one or two, pick a lane, as they say, and think about what you can be consistent with, right? Rather than diluting your brand across many, think about who your ideal target client is. If they're in the luxury space, you may want to consider using LinkedIn more, because professional people often will be on LinkedIn, of course. Entrepreneurs will be on LinkedIn, so they may not be so much on Instagram. But just really understand who your target market is and work that social media platform or those two. But again, remembering that every post you put up, every article you share is adding a layer to your personal brand, your reputation. And it should be in alignment with that consistent that message that you want to get out.
And people will look at your social media.
Mm.
They will. They will do their due diligence and find out where you
I'm
are.
looking at Leslie's right now,
There you go.
and I have so many questions. So you wrote a book in 2002, Walking Tall, Key Steps. Uh,
To total image
something.
impact. Yeah, that was the very
There
first
you go
book.
with a giraffe. So 5 years between the first and the second book. What happened in the 5 years? Why did it take 5 years? Why not 5 months?
Because I'm a speaker rather than a writer is a very simple, short answer to that.
You were
Writing,
busy.
I'm
I
busy.
get it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's
that was 2007.
yeah.
Then, and that was Drop Dead Brilliant. Great title. Next one, Corporate Brand Personality. 9 years.
What? 9 years. Yeah,
9 years.
yeah.
Also busy.
Yeah, to write a book is for me. I don't take to writing naturally, and I'll speak the word, and that's in fact how I approach a book. I'll speak it, record it, and transcribe it, and then edit it. But yeah, I felt that there's my 7 big strides to walking tall. Yeah, I felt it was needed. I needed to have another book that updated everything that I was talking about. It very much was then about the corporate personality, and it was a long time in the coming. But every book I've written has had a contract with a publisher, so they're not self-published, which is obviously a lot quicker. And there is often a 2 to 3 year lead time with a publisher. So you get the contract, then they want to publish it in their time scales that fits their strategy. So that can take time as well. But yeah, I probably need to update the Walking Tall book now, and that's my next project, is to make a smaller, updated version of Walking Tall, maybe Walking Taller or something like that.
Reaching for the sky. We're going to take a moment and take a break, and we come back. We'll talk more. Here we go.
When you are searching for a new home, you want to be working with a realtor with years of experience, a professional with intimate knowledge of the communities that you are considering moving to, and someone who really wants to represent you as a buyer in what is probably the largest investment you will ever make in your lifetime. The realtors at Castles Unlimited want to be your choice when you are ready to make your next move. Please visit us at castlesunlimited.com or call us anytime at 800-967-3561. The realtors at Castles Unlimited are here to help your next purchase, lease, or sale of any real.
And we're back. Castles Unlimited is our sponsor for today. Thank you so much, Castles Unlimited International. That is. Lesley, you speak all over. What do you have coming up right now, or what's going on in your career right at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, obviously things have changed a lot in the last several months, and so I'm doing everything remote right now, and it is a very global business. It always was, but I would be getting on a plane to do it. But now it's very much global from my desk in terms of training programs, but making them really bite-sized and relevant, things that people can take away. And I've always had content-rich programs. So right now there's a lot of coaching going on. I'm coaching a lot of small business owners, a lot of realtors, a lot of professional people. So I have public programs a lot that people are saying, can I sign on to a program? Because I'm not part of a big company, but have you got a public program? So doing a lot of those. And I can share a link actually in the chat box if you would like me to, right there.
If you
So
would.
you have that.
If you would, and when the people come in later to watch our show, we're also going to put it in. Thank you so much. We're also going to put it in our blogs, so we'll get that. And I understand you're going to give us a break, a discount.
Yes, yeah. There's a special code, Larry 2021. That'll give you 10% off those public programs. There's one particularly for young professionals.
I'd rather just get a royalty for every time someone clicks on it.
There we
We
go.
can arrange that too, Jim, I'm sure.
I'd like to have 10% off, but that's a different story.
Well, whatever works for us both, we could do that. But yeah, those are the main things, and working in the corporate world as well. But really, for what's relevant to realtors right now are those two things.
So I just want to circle back to the really simple. What is a brand and what's the value of a brand? Why can't you just be an agent working for one of the big boxes, Keller Williams, Caldwell Banker, EXP, Compass? Why do something?
I like that, Caldwell Blanker. You did say that, right?
Yes.
Caldwell Blanker.
Yeah, they just recently changed
I've heard
it.
of them.
Yeah, it's a great question. And, it comes back down to this. Do you want to be one of the masses, or do you want to be the one that people want to work with? And a huge amount of my work is working on differentiators. You've got to be different. That's how you're going to build clients and get referrals. And I often say that your brand is the bold intention of what you do. And I think it was something you said earlier, Jim, about it's or it might be you, Larry, that you don't want to just have these things that you say you're going to do and then you don't deliver. Having the setting the bold intention is the brand, but we've got to deliver to that. Otherwise, there's a big height to fall from, and we can do a lot of damage if we don't do what we say we're going to do or we say we can do. But your reputation is the reality. And that's what we need to really focus on. So you set out the intention with the brand. This is who I am. This is what you get when you work with me. This is, my website, and it looks great and sexy and colorful, and the images are wonderful, and the homes I sell are wonderful. And this is how I do it. But the reality is your reputation is the reality of all of that. And
let's talk about that for, yeah, sorry. Let's talk about that for a moment. So everyone in the real estate business works with buyers, works with sellers, gets listings, maybe does rentals, maybe does commercial, whatever. How does a broker differentiate themselves, regardless of the company they work for? Because there's literally more realtors than there are people on the face of the earth. I mean, it's literally crazy numbers. So is it the hobbies? Is it the pets? Is it the books they read? The music they like? I know one broker. He doesn't do it anymore. He used to show up at an open house with an acoustic guitar. Now he just stands out on the corner every Thursday, all dressed in white, holding a sign that says peace. I mean, that's his brand, perhaps. Um, maybe
Seriously?
that's what I'm going for. Yeah,
Yeah.
every Thursday, right outside our office, he's there. You know,
Wow.
Biden. 4 years ago it was Hillary. Whatever. And
Yikes.
the peace sign: stop the war,
Yikes.
Wow.
which is
So
fine. I'm not.
there's
I'm not. I'm not for war.
So yeah, they've taken that question. I mean, there was also somebody. It was a webinar I was on recently, or I was just delivering a program, and somebody was called themselves the rollerblading realtor. So she rollerblades to their open houses and seeing clients wherever she can, and that's a really cool brand. So it's obviously a hobby, and something she loves to do. And I think absolutely we need to be clear about how can we make that connection, because that's different for us. Our backstory, how we've grown up, what we've learned is really important as well. But also then from a professional point of view is being really clear what you're absolutely great at. One person I've been working with recently, he has an absolute skill in maximizing the potential of properties, luxury properties that are potentially difficult to sell. And he didn't really kind of realize that perhaps that was an absolute differentiator. So I worked with him to understand why he's good at that. Why is he able to do that? And there was stuff in his backstory and the way he applies himself, his personality, some of his hobbies that allowed him to be able to do that so well. And whilst we might think, well, other people, other realtors are able to do that as well, they're often not. They're often good in other areas, and we're
Did
often
he
too modern.
brand himself that way? Did he come up with a slogan like "I sell the tough ones" or something like that?
Yeah, there is something along those lines. We're still working on it to get the final piece. But yes, the tagline and then the brand
We can't
statement.
use that. I just trademarked it.
I've written it down too late. No, yes, we're working on that. Yes, it absolutely encompasses that. And then, of course, the worry is that realtors have is, well, I don't want to exclude other people. I don't want to exclude buyers and sellers who don't fall into that. But that's never the case. You'll get noticed more if you
Right.
differentiate. You're never going to
Right.
say no to the others anyway.
I know
Yeah.
a very successful agent, but when she started, she had just lost her husband. He died, and they had a couple of kids. And she used to walk the neighborhoods. This was back when you could walk the neighborhoods, and you weren't locked down like we are. But she had a radio flyer. Little and she put her kids in there and she went around and knocked on doors, and that radio flyer has been her brand since then. It's
Pretty cool.
it's a great kind of thing, and
Yeah.
she did it out of necessity, and it was her. She always had
The
her kids
little
with
little
her.
red wagon.
Little red wagon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And it's things that people remember. I'm often called the giraffe lady. I'm only 5'1.5", by the way, so it's walking tools that nothing to do with that being tall. But people remember something that's visual as well. So that's a really important thing. Yeah.
It's those 12-inch heels, though.
Yeah, no one ever believes I'm that short. But now it doesn't matter, of course. I'm sat at my desk most of the time.
Right, right. No, none of
So
us.
how has the pandemic affected your business? Is it more digitized now, and are you reaching a larger audience because you're more focused online? How's any benefits from
Yeah,
this
I mean,
craziness?
so part of our work is very much in the corporate field. So a lot of our clients just said we need to go to remote delivery straight away. So I've worked hard on that and mastered that, because you can't just deliver what is a classroom training program online and expect people to engage. So there's an awful lot of learning behind making it interactive and engaging. So we've managed to change over to that. Conference speaking, of course, that kind of stopped for a while, but I've been still doing digital remote keynotes using Zoom, taking part in hybrid conferences, but a lot more coaching. And that obviously is being done via Zoom remotely. And there's always a global business, but I think it's opened up a lot more. Of course, it's so much easier to be global. I think we all are global more than ever right now because of this. So that's been a benefit. But it's been tough. It's certainly, we took some knocks and revenue shortfalls last year, like most small businesses. So
Do you think that when this is all over, hopefully it will be, and hopefully soon, that you'll go back the way it was, or is it going to be more online digital
Yeah,
distribution?
it's a question that, and dealing with a lot of companies across all sectors, I'm hearing consistent message that it's not going to go back to where it was. No one's in a hurry to get back into rooms with people all the time. I think conferences will come back, but training, I think they've got so used to remote and people working from home, finding there's some benefits as well as obviously some things that are a challenge, but I think there'll be some sort of middle ground. I don't think it'll go back to how it was. And that's possibly a good thing in lots of ways, but I know there's knock on effects of that as well. So I think remote is here to stay for sure. So we better get good at it and better
I
have a
think
good brand and impact with it.
I do think people miss each other though.
Yes.
You go to a conference and you meet somebody new. I know the kids want to be back in school. I know the college kids, they're tired of being at home with their parents. So I do think there's going to be a certain amount of that reopens. Commercial market is going to be very different though. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, there is that. The social side of things is tough. And I feel for the school kids
right.
very much. Yeah.
So I just want to let everybody know here in our audience that walkingtalltraining.square.site is the link that you'll get to. And if you use Larry 2021, you'll get a 10% discount. It's been such a thrill to have you share with us your understanding of brand and building your own personal brand. Jim, some last words?
Yes, 20% off if you use the code Jim2021.
There we go. So you're
And the
that much.
10% royalty comes to Broker Talk.
It goes down a different channel. Yeah.
Well,
Thank you so much, Lesley. It was very nice to see you, and I'll have to pick up one of your books, at least one of your books.
I'll lend you mine.
Okay.
It's a pleasure.
I still owe you some books that I haven't read yet, Larry.
Yeah, I know. I know where my books are, though.
I think it's just one, actually.
Yeah, it is.
That's great music. Who wrote that song?
I think that's a Jim Lowenstern original.
Oh,
Thank you so much, Leslie.
Didn't know I had it in there.
It's been an awesome show, and we really